Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. Look, I know it's been about 4 or 5 days. I know. I work a lot. Deal with it. Part of what I do for work has to do with this YouTube channel. So in the end, I mean, I'm getting things working for y'all. Okay? So hear me out. But I think today is going to be a pretty important video, definitely informative, especially for those who are trying to teach people who are new to shooting, or at least are just trying to make sure they enjoy their first time shooting. So we're going to get into it. We got to go over a couple of things here before you even bring them to the range. So for starters, you need to go over the 4, in my case, I like to add a 5th rule. You need to go over the 4 basic gun safety rules, which is never point a gun at anything you're not willing to shoot and destroy. Treat all guns as if they are loaded. Keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to shoot. Know your target and what is beyond it. And the 5th one I like to add is know the condition of your firearm. Why is that? Well, because if you know the condition of your firearm, if you actually know it, not think it, but just know it, then it can probably help keep you away from a lot of accidents. But moving on from that, you have to go over these rules and you have to get them ingrained into the new shooter's head. The reason why this is also important is because there's no easier way to turn off somebody from shooting than a negligent discharge. That's the truth of the matter here. Whether it's an ND on their end, whether it's an ND on someone else's end, there's no better way to turn someone off from shooting than a negligent discharge, especially if somebody gets hurt. That's that should be obvious for you guys. But as long as you go over the safety rules with them, you make sure they have it ingrained in their head. There are several ways you can practice it at home, whether you get one of those, yellow or green or blue plastic guns, not like a real gun, obviously, but the stuff they use in training classes, or whether you go out of your way to just ensure that you have a gun with you that's clear so they can practice gun safety with it. Either way, as long as the rules are ingrained in their brain, that's probably going to be a big, big help. Now, moving on to the next point. You probably shouldn't start them with a super tiny gun or a super large caliber either. The reason why I say that, there's a couple of areas you could really start with. I recommend, in this case, because they are new to shooting, starting with a 22, which might sound disrespectful to some of you guys. Some of you guys might be like, oh, well, I'm a grown man. I've just never shot a gun before. Why do I need a 22? Well, I mean, you just said it yourself, you've never shot a gun before. We need to make sure that you actually know how to shoot a gun correctly. And how are we going to do that if you're also trying to fight off really any kind of recoil? So yeah, starting with a 22 or something small caliber wise would be a good idea to start it off. The reason why I say don't start with a small gun, though, is because a majority of small guns themselves are snappy. They're not fun to shoot. A lot of people don't like shooting them. I don't like shooting my small gun. Like, think about it like this, guys. Have you guys seen any of my shorts where I'm shooting my Ruger LCP? No? I mean, yeah, I practice with it, but it's just not my favorite gun to shoot, bro. Like, the gun sucks to shoot. It's not fun to shoot by any means. It's a super small 380. So starting somebody off with too small of a gun itself, that's just going to turn them off from it. I mean, they might be okay with it. They might be like, hey, that wasn't so bad and move on from it. But they're never going to be as, as happy about shooting as they would if you started them off with something like a 22. Or if you really don't have a 22 and you're like, hey, I really only have 9mm and up. Okay, what you do then is you have a full size 9mm. Plain and simple. The reason why a full size is because the smaller the gun is, the snappier it's going to be. So a full size 9mm, while maybe intimidating to some new shooters, is going to be very easy to shoot. The first gun I ever shot was a full size 9mm. It's just, they're very easy to shoot. They're not hard to shoot. 9mm isn't exactly a super hard recoiling round. However, out of a small gun, it's going to be very snappy, so you don't want to deal with that. So I do recommend, if you don't have a 22, at least start them with a full-size 9mm. Again, it's just all about making sure that they enjoy shooting, wanting to come back, do more shooting, and then they can get better. That's simply it. Next, you teach them how to properly grip the gun. The reason why this is all so important is because I've seen too many people who, they go to the range for their first time shooting and they're like, all right, yeah. They'll be having a Glock 17 in hand and their grip is like that. So they have their thumb behind the slide. I can guarantee you guys that if you don't teach a shooter how to grip the gun correctly, not giving up halfway because, oh, it's a little irritating because they're not listening, but if you teach them how to do it correctly, they will enjoy the shooting so much more. One, the recoil isn't going to be anywhere near as bad. But two, and most importantly, we're not worried about them hurting themselves in any way, shape, or form. I'm sorry, guys, but getting hurt your first time shooting probably isn't going to make you, want to go back shooting. It's probably not a ringing endorsement. You see what I mean? But with that being said, I believe there's only one more reason that has come to mind, and I'm going to go into, a bit more in detail why all of these together should, actually two more reasons, sorry. But I'm going to go into details all together as to why all of these really will help you ensure that whatever new shooter or whatever person you were taking to shoot for the first time will enjoy shooting. Next one, it's all about the time that you go. Sometimes of the day, ranges are dead. When I say dead, I mean there's nobody in there. Nothing's happening. People are just hanging out, chilling. I mean, I'm speaking from experience, guys. So what can you do? In times where it is dead, it is probably going to be the best time to take this new shooter to go shooting. Why is that? It's because you're not worried about somebody the next bay over sitting there just rapid firing a micro Draco or some obnoxiously loud gun. You're not worried about them being extra jumpy. And in the end, it's just going to overall make them feel more safe because they realize, hey, I'm the only person in here. It's just me and my friend. We're shooting. You know what I mean? Things are going good. I have nothing to worry about. It's going to make them feel more at ease simply, which I don't know if you guys can realize, but you really don't want a new shooter to be jumpy and scared. You really don't want that. That's just not going to make the experience fun for them. Next one, and this one I believe is really most important, is that when they take their first shots, I would recommend only starting them off with one. Now you guys might be thinking, okay, that's a bit excessive, but hear me out. I'm not saying they can never shoot more than one round at a time. What I'm simply saying is for their first 2 or 3 rounds, just make sure that there's only one round. The reason why that is because you want to make sure that when they finish that round, that they're not doing something unsafe, like turning around, pointing the gun at you, things like that. It's just simple common sense. Now, think about it like this as well. Let's say they don't have the best trigger discipline. If you only put one round in there and they fired that one round off, even if they do have their finger on the trigger, the chances of an ND happening are 0. So it's a good idea to do just for the first few rounds of them shooting. Once they feel more comfortable with it, once you see they're more comfortable with it, by all means, let them load their own mags. Let them do what they want to do. Let them have fun with it. Shooting is fun. Now, when you add all of this together, it's probably going to be a very enjoyable time for a new shooter. Low recoil, dead at the range, so nobody's bothering you. You know safety, you know how to grip the gun correctly, and you've gotten confident with shooting the gun itself, so you're willing to shoot more than one round at a time. All of those itself will make whatever new shooter comes in actually enjoy shooting. I was just about to say newly shooting, but that doesn't make any sense. It will make whatever new shooter comes in actually enjoy the process of shooting. It will make them want to come back, which, I mean, that's always a good thing. You want them to come back. You want them to practice more. You want them to get better with their firearm if they own one, or if not, you're probably going to end up being the reason they go and get their first gun, which is also a really good thing. But with that being said, I think that about wraps it up for this video. I don't want to keep going in circles here, but all in all, these are all pretty important things to take into account when you're trying to teach somebody new how to shoot, or when you're just trying to make sure that they're actually having a good time shooting, that they actually enjoy it. With that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all, and I really don't think anybody can disagree with me on any of these points. I don't think any of these points in particular are going to make a new shooter be like, you know what? I hate shooting. I had no fun doing that. I really don't think that's the case, guys. I mean, call me crazy, but I've also seen it be done in person. I literally work at a range. But with that being said, whether or not you liked the video or not, because there's really no disagreeing with me on this, go ahead and comment down below why or why not. Make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.